Tips for your blogs. A blog should be able to be read in no more than 2 to 3 minutes. So our rule of thumb is less than 250 words. If you've got a topic that you want to cover in some level of depth, what you can do is have that be a series of posts that you put out once a week or twice a week or something of that nature over a period of time. And that's a great tool because it keeps people coming back to your blog post. At the end of the first installment, you would, of course, reference that there's another installment coming next week so that people would come back and look for it. Blogging is, as is all social media, a lot more casual in tone than your traditional marketing or even digital marketing tools. So feel free to use a more personal voice, a more casual style, first person pronouns, and the like. That is really expected in the blogosphere. And if you stick with a very rigid formal tone, you may actually lose some readership. Give people a reason to keep coming back to your blogs by doing things like sharing knowledge, tips, techniques. Give them information that gives them value over and above just explaining the technology. So think from their perspective, what about this technology might be useful for them to know in their day-to-day world, regardless of whether they're actually interested in the technology or whether they end up licensing it or not. So leverage your inventors to look for those types of things. For example, we had another technology that we were marketing and we did a large webinar for it. While a huge portion of the webinar was very much geared towards marketing the technology, the front end portion of the webinar was all generic, and it was information that the prospects could take away and use regardless of whether they proceeded with the technology or not. So that gave them, quite frankly, a reason to come to the webinar, because chances are people aren't always going to come just to listen to your sales pitch. So Laura, anything to add on blogging?
Yeah, one of the things that you want to think about is the different types of topics that you want to cover on your blog. You're not likely to have enough technologies to really cover one technology per posting per week, or even if you were doing 2 postings per week. So you want to mix that in with some other activities about your office to build credibility and branding for your office. You might want to do a blog post once a week about some of the events and activities that you're doing. Maybe do one that highlights an inventor. Mix and match it. It's not just about technologies. It's really about the presence of your office out there and building up that presence.
So does blogging really work in terms of helping you expand your reach and expand your audience? We absolutely think so. Fuentech implemented its blog in September 2009, so for all intents and purposes at the end of the year, since the holidays hit closely thereafter. And you can see from this chart, our website traffic went up dramatically over the next 12 months. So from January 2010 to January 2011, we increased our monthly website visitors by almost 100%, which is pretty phenomenal gain in traction. Not only did we get more people coming to the site, but they looked at more pages during their visits, actually 500% more. And because they were looking at more pages, they spent more time on the site reading those pages. So time on the site went up by 176%. Our percentage of new visitors actually went down a little bit. So while our discrete numbers went up, we were pulling more repeat visitors, which I view as a good thing. That's what you want to do, is keep people coming back to your site over time. So as long as your overall number of visitors is increasing, the fact that new visitors as a percentage is declining slightly does not necessarily mean a bad thing. And then finally, we looked at our Alexa traffic ranks and reach from June of 2009 to January of 2011 and saw phenomenal increase there. Alexa is an online service that takes a 3-month rolling average of website usage across the entire web universe. Back in 2009, Fuentech ranked over 1 million. So there were 1 million websites that had more traffic than we did at that point in time. January 2011, we were up to 124,000. So we had almost a 10-fold increase in our traffic rankings. And then a similar increase in the reach, which is a 3-month rolling average of the percentage of all the world's internet users who came to our website. So great stuff on our blog results. Laura.
So Karen, if we went up in the traffic ranking, doesn't that mean that if somebody does a Google search, we're higher up in the results page?
Absolutely. One of the factors that goes into search engine placement results, so whether you appear first, second, third, or 99th in the results page, is how high a traffic you have on your website. So that's absolutely a positive byproduct of our blog efforts.
And again, that's why you need to care about that for your future campaigns, is you want to get that presence for your tech transfer office higher up in the rankings, and that will be reflected in both your web page and how you design it, as well as blogging and doing other social media activities. Thanks for your time.